Okay, so what if I told you that the one thing we're all taught to hide, our vulnerability, is actually our greatest source of strength? That's the huge idea from Brené Brown's research, and in this explainer, we're going to dive into what it really means to step into the arena of your own life and, well, dare greatly.
All right, here's our game plan. First, we'll figure out what the arena even is. Then, we'll look at the culture of scarcity that holds so many of us back, and the emotional armory we use to protect ourselves. After that, we're going to bust some major myths before we get to the ultimate goal, living a wholehearted life. So let's get started. So, what is this arena? Well, it's the big metaphor for everything we're about to talk about. And it all comes from this incredible century-old quote that just completely reframes how you think about courage. This is it. This is the quote that started it all. Theodore Roosevelt, way back in 1910. You know, when Brené Brown first read this, she had this huge aha moment. This is what vulnerability is. It's not about the critics yelling from the cheap seats. It's not about winning or losing. The real credit, the real courage, belongs to the person who's actually in there, trying, failing, and daring to show up. And this right here completely flips the script. Vulnerability isn't weakness. It's actually the opposite. It is our most accurate way to measure courage. Think about it. It's that moment you decide to show up for that new relationship, that tough conversation, that passion project, with absolutely no guarantee of how it's going to turn out. It's being all in.
Okay, so if being vulnerable is so courageous, why does it feel so terrifying? Well, the answer is kind of in the cultural air that we all breathe. We are living in what Brown calls a culture of scarcity.
I mean, does any of this sound familiar? This is the constant drumbeat of our culture. It's that nagging feeling of never enough. You wake up thinking, I didn't get enough sleep, and you go to bed thinking, I didn't get enough done. This mindset just fuels comparison, anxiety, and this deep fear of just being, normal.
And what's the weapon that scarcity culture uses against us? It's shame. Now, it's really important to get this right. This isn't guilt. Guilt is, I did something bad. Shame is, I am bad. It's that gut-wrenching fear that if people see the real, messy, imperfect us, they'll turn away. And that fear is what keeps us sitting on the sidelines of our own lives. So naturally, we don't want to feel that pain. Who would? So to protect ourselves from shame and from feeling vulnerable, we build up this emotional armor. But as we're about to find out, that armor comes at a really, really high price.
And here's the huge paradox, right? We put on all this armor, these masks, these shields, thinking it's going to keep us safe from being judged. But while we're hiding, we're also making it impossible for anyone to truly see us, to truly connect with us. The very thing that's supposed to protect us ends up isolating us.
Let's look at one of the most common and heaviest pieces of armor, perfectionism. Now, we mix this up with healthy striving all the time, but they are worlds apart. See, healthy striving is about you. It's self-focused. How can I get better? But perfectionism, that's a hustle. It's all about other people. What will they think? It's what Brown calls a 20-ton shield that we just drag around to avoid feeling any judgment.
So, we've seen the problem and the armor we use to hide from it. Now, let's start taking that armor apart by going after the myths that give it all its power. It's time to debunk them with some actual, research-backed truth.
Let's start with the big one. The myth that's been drilled into so many of us since we were kids. The idea that being vulnerable means you're weak. But here's the fascinating thing the research shows. When you see someone else being truly vulnerable, sharing something real and honest, do you think, wow, they're weak? No way. You think, wow, that's so brave. We admire it in other people. We see it as courage. But we're absolutely terrified to let anyone see it in ourselves.
Okay, next up is the myth of the rugged individual. You know the story. We have to handle everything ourselves, and asking for help is basically admitting defeat. It's a story that runs deep in our culture. But the truth is, we are literally hardwired for connection. We're not meant to go it alone. Just think about it in a workplace. When a leader stands up and says, you know what, I don't have all the answers, I need your help. Do we think less of them? No. We see it as an act of courage that actually inspires the whole team to be more open. Courage is totally contagious. Okay, so after we've stepped into the arena, faced down that feeling of scarcity, and started to shed our armor, what are we even aiming for? Well, this brings us to the ultimate goal, what Brown's research calls wholehearted living.
At its heart, wholehearted living is about waking up in the morning and thinking, you know what? No matter what I get done today, and no matter what's left undone, I am enough. It's not about being flawless. It's about living your life from a place of worthiness, knowing that you are brave and you are worthy of love and belonging, right now, just as you are.
So how do we actually do this? Well, a huge skill is building what she calls shame resilience, and she gives us 4 key steps. First, you have to recognize shame when it shows up. What does it feel like in your body? Second, practice critical awareness. Question the messages that are fueling that shame. Third, and this is crucial, reach out. Share your story with someone you trust. And finally, speak shame. Give it a voice. Talk about how you feel and ask for what you need.
And that brings us right back to where we started. Because when you practice reaching out, you start to realize something incredible. The people whose opinions actually matter, the people who love you, they were never the critics in the stands. They're down there in the arena with you, getting dusty and sweaty too. They're on your team.
And so we'll leave you with this final thought. Maybe your arena is starting a new career, or having a tough conversation, or putting your art out into the world. Whatever it is, the courage is just in showing up. So, what's your arena?